Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, my guest, Josh Macuga.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming through, Josh.
Yeah, buddy, yeah.
Happy to have you.
I love this creepy room down here. I know the haunted stories of this area of the comedy store.
So many ghosts floating around in the studio. I did a podcast one time down here that had seances.
Oh, no.
But now we have a podcast that tapes down here called Basic Witches. Shout out to former guest Leah Knauer, the host of Basic Witches.
Okay.
And so they have...
I like that title.
They've burned some sage and stuff down here. So I think we're in the nice cleansed period.
Gotcha.
We don't have to worry about anybody coming and jacking around with our audio.
Yeah.
What we do have to worry about is the kind of reaction you're going to get when you talk about this movie that you hate.
Yeah.
Which is... Man, I'm just The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so you know Jeff Dye, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Jeff Dye, I went to his place one time, and he has like legitimate Lebowski art, right? Like fan art and like Andy Warhol type of art for The Big Lebowski, and it's his favorite movie of all time. And I'm there, and I'm like, I don't really like The Big Lebowski. I mean, to be honest with you, I really don't like that movie at all. And he was like, "What? Are you kidding me? Let me explain to you why it's good." I was like, "No, I get it. I get why people love this movie. Just for me, I think it's." Everybody that loves it freaks out for it, like loses their mind. Like, "Oh, I'm the dude. The dude is the greatest. I can be the dude." Like the dude quotes, "Hey guys, Jesus, like he's bowling." I'm like, it's okay. It's not. It's just not I just don't like that movie.
Wow, you got so feisty just now. This is strong. This is a movie that I personally am a fan of.
Okay.
I'm not on the level of like, I'm not going to have art about it in my house. I don't go to, I know that there's a rabid fan base for The Big Lebowski. I know that people go and do all sorts of different, like there's a little Lebowski fest.
Yes.
And people dress up as all the characters and they bowl and they drink White Russians and do all this stuff that I just don't totally, like, I'm not that deep into the fandom of The Big Lebowski.
Right.
But I like The Big Lebowski and I like the Coen brothers. And I think that this is a really entertaining, interesting movie. So I can't wait. I'm going up. I'm trying to just let this in. I'm trying to break my walls down.
Sure. So because here's the thing for me.
Yeah. What is it about this movie that just turns you off?
Well, I am the kind of guy that loves pretty much every movie, right?
Okay.
When you told me this podcast about movies that you hate, I went to Mark Ellis, who we've been working together on Schmoes and the Collider and everything for 6 years. I was like, "Dude, he does a podcast about movies that you hate?" I was like, "I don't really hate many movies," and he goes, "Yeah, I know. You got to pick one." And so the first one that comes to mind is like Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because that ruined the Indiana Jones trilogy. And then I'm thinking to myself, there's like 2 or 3, because my favorite movie of all time is Bad Boys 2. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So
Loves Bad Boys 2, hates The Big Lebowski.
Hates Big Lebowski. But I like most Coen Brothers movies. I'm probably one of the few people that likes Inside Llewyn Davis. Right.
Okay.
And I don't. Most of the Coen Brothers movies, I find something in it that I like. With The Big Lebowski, because I had a roommate when I first moved here that went to those Lebowski fests, and he would dress like the dude in that robe, and a guy I went to college with who dressed as Lebowski for 2 straight Halloweens, and I was like, I don't understand why people just absolutely freak out for this movie. I just don't get it. I don't understand it, and I think to myself, like, I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times. Each time going into it thinking, all right, I'm going to find something in here that I like.
This is the time it's all going to change.
This is it, right? It's the weed thing. It's the Jesus in the bowling scene. It's the White Russians. It's the sex with Julianne Moore thing. I can just never get on board with this movie. I hate John Goodman's character. I think he's extremely frustrating. The Steve Buscemi character might be the only redeeming thing in this movie for me. I can't stand the dude. I'm like, come on, man.
What?
He's just a
no.
lazy guy that smokes weed and doesn't have a job. Like, I come from a working class blue collar family in Pittsburgh. Like, you wake up and you go to work. I don't care if somebody pisses on your rug. It doesn't bring the room together. It's like, and then I can go on, man.
Man.
I mean, I want you to, yeah.
So if you haven't seen The Big Lebowski ever or in a while, just to catch you up to speed, 1998 crime comedy film written and directed by the Coen brothers, stars Jeff Bridges as Jeffrey the Dude Lebowski, a Los Angeles slacker and avid bowler. He's assaulted as a result of mistaken identity. He is, hooks up with this millionaire who's like, they were supposed to attack me. Kidnap his trophy wife, the total opposite too. He's a self-made billionaire. He's got all kinds of different properties, and he the first time you see it's a real clash scene where he shows up in this big ornate office. Yeah, he's got all these rugs.
Are you employed, Mr. Lebowski? Yeah, I side with the other Lebowski.
You're that guy. Wow. That's probably it's a slobs versus snobs movie.
Correct.
And you're the snob.
I'm not the snob.
You don't come off like the snob though. That's the thing.
I'm not a snob. I just want
You just like the value of hard work.
I like the value of look what you're doing. You're hosting a podcast. You work at the Comedy Store. You're a comedian. You're a funny guy. You were going after a dream. You're not just some lazy dude hanging in a bathrobe drinking White Russians, which, by the way, helped my buddy put on like 40 pounds my junior year of college.
Oh yeah, well,
it's
you
just
drink
hard milk.
Milk and liquor.
And Kahlua.
That's a great way to bulk up.
Yeah.
It's like protein shakes for alcoholics.
It really is. It's like a rum protein shake. It's got its vodka and Kahlua. And so, but you can keep going with
all I was going to say is it's this movie that it is a really, it's the shaggiest of Shaggy Dog stories.
Yes.
And it's got this quality that I think you're kind of touching on, and I haven't really, because I've never done like a critical analysis of The Big Lebowski, and it's kind of making more sense to me as I talk it out with you.
Okay.
Of why this movie has been such a hit and has been such a cult classic is because people don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's because people
I'll
don't.
give that to you.
Who likes to work at the end of the day?
I mean, if you enjoy what you do, right? Like, I enjoy what I do. I legitimately enjoy going to work every day.
Yeah, same here.
Which doesn't happen for 99% of the population, right? Mm-hmm. So doing nothing is sort of the American dream. It's that scene in Office Space when he's like, if you had $1 million, what would you do? I would do nothing.
Right.
Legitimately, he's like, Mom, my cousin's broke. Don't do shit. That is the American dream. And Lebowski envelops that.
Right.
And I get where you're going. Yes, it makes total sense.
It's just the kind of movie where you get to hang out with some people who you want to be like, or you enjoy watching stumble around, and you know what? And they stumble into everything, and it works out. Exactly. Everything just works out.
Yes,
it's a movie that if you looked at these people on the street, if you looked at these characters, you would probably not want to hang out with them. Mm-mm. But you take the world that they're in and you slice it up and you cut it out for, how long is this movie? You cut it out for 117 minutes and you get to watch their lives.
That's
and you're like, it is a long movie. It's almost 2 hours. Yeah. And you get to just watch it and appreciate it, and you get to be like, oh yes. Look at those cool guys not doing anything and everything working out for them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's got, you know what? It's probably got the same sort of appeal that Entourage has for very different. And probably there's some sort of Venn diagram overlap of the subset of Entourage fans and Big Lebowski fans.
Yep.
But everything works out.
Yes. Vince isn't going to do the movie. Vince is going to do the movie. That's a season, all 6 seasons of Entourage.
Yeah.
Right?
That's 6 seasons and the movie.
Yeah, the movie. And they were going to make a second movie.
What?
Yes.
I never even heard about this.
Yeah, there's a script and everything that was ready for a second movie. Had the first Entourage movie done well, there was a script and ready to go. It had to hit a certain amount in the domestic box office that it did not hit.
Sex and the City hit that level, and Entourage couldn't do it.
Yeah. Poor Sex and the City.
Poor Sex and the City. poor Jeremy Piven. What happened? Oh, boy. Anyway.
Boy, do I have some Jeremy Piven stories.
Oh, you do?
My wife was his assistant for almost 2 years.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, when we first started dating, she was his assistant, like, for about 6 months after that. And I shouldn't tell any of the stories on any kind of like a microphone because I'm sure he's got some lawyer that scrubs algorithms to find people that mention his name. But yeah, he's not the best dude.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through some of the stuff. You've watched this movie. What was the first time you watched the movie?
Senior. So I graduated high school 2000. I'm showing my age. And my best bud in high school, like my best friend to this day, loves Big Lebowski.
Okay.
Had the poster in his room in high school and then took it to college. I mean, that's a Lebowski fan. When you take a poster off of a wall to move with it.
Right.
It wasn't like framed or anything. Like it was like rolled the poster back up and then rolled it back on the wall. So much this guy enjoyed Lebowski. So he forced me to sit down and watch the Big Lebowski. And I remember sitting there the first time. You know, like you're in high school, you're high, you're just kind of hanging out, you smoke a little weed and you figure like this is the perfect. And as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, I don't understand why this movie's good.
Mm-hmm.
Why are people, because everybody says it's the smartest comedy around. I don't think there's a point in the movie when I laugh. I like dumb comedies, right? My favorite comedy of all time is probably MacGruber.
Oh, MacGruber's fantastic.
Right?
I love MacGruber.
I bond with this with Nick Youssef, right? The one time I was like, you know what movie I love? He's like, MacGruber? And I was like, yes, MacGruber. So MacGruber is probably the most underrated comedy of all time. It's overlooked by so many people.
I'm going to throw Hot Rod in that conversation
Hot
also.
Rod, fantastic as well. The whole subplot of him getting it to cure his dad of cancer, to then beat him up.
Right.
It's such a silly plot for a movie, but it works. It totally works. That movie, agreed. Hot Rod, great call. I mean, there's the obvious ones like Dumb and Dumber and that kind of stuff. Those are movies that legitimately make me laugh, okay? Mm-hmm. When movies like The Martian get nominated for comedy musical at a Golden Globes,
how in the
something wrong, right? The only kind of funny part is when he blows up half the shoulder and you're like, well, he's dead. But he doesn't die, right?
Oh, comedy.
It's hysterical.
Man, that's a joke.
I love it.
Man.
But for Lebowski, everybody's like, don't you find it so funny when like Jesus does the bowling ball thing? I'm like, I don't know. I guess.
When he licks the bowling ball?
Yeah. I mean, is that funny? I'm like, all right, he's just like this character that really I don't think exists. That's the one thing that is hard for me, right?
Hey, how about the one part where John Goodman is yelling at a child and destroying a car? That's very funny.
Sure. Yes.
If you'd taken that movie and you didn't and you weren't playing it for laughs the way the Coens are, if you just changed the lighting of that movie or you put a dramatic soundtrack underneath it, that movie is very frightening.
Yes, it's a drama.
Yeah.
It really is. And I mean,
this movie could exist in the same universe as No Country for Old Men.
You're 100% correct. When I'm watching trailers for this Bad Times at the El Royale, I think to myself, this feels like a gritty, horror-ish Lebowski.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way.
Do you know what I mean? Like the dialogue is so particular. And the Coen brothers have that particular set of delivering certain lines, right, and directing certain scenes. It's sort of like an Aaron Sorkin show. Mm-hmm. Like all the dialogue is so packed up together, and you're like, I guarantee you, Jeff Daniels can say 5,000 words in an episode of Newsroom. Just like nobody talks like that,
right? Nobody
speaks like that. Nobody has exchanges like that. Gilmore Girls. Nobody talks like the Gilmore Girls,
right? Yes.
Right,
and that's the kind of thing with the Coens too, where they have this way of making the reality of their movies is turned up just enough to where it's believable, but also not quite believable.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so in No Country for Old Men, right? Again, a movie that I love.
I love No Country for Old Men. That movie to me makes sense.
Right,
like that is a dark, realistic, crazy town movie. I love it.
But there's the scene. I mean, the scene that everybody remembers from that movie is the coin toss scene, right? Yeah. And the dialogue in that movie is so. It's just like it's kind of off, and everything is played kind of askew, but it makes sense.
Right.
And that's what I think. Did you watch the Fargo series that has been out on TV?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. It's amazing.
The thing that I think that movie did, or the TV show did well, is that even though it's only tangentially involved, by the Coens, and they're just producing it.
Right.
It captures the way that the Coens set up their worlds and let the characters run loose in those worlds.
Right. It's those capers of morons.
Yes.
right?
Yes, and that's exactly what the Big Lebowski is.
Yes.
it's a caper of morons.
It really is.
That's it's the way that did you see Burn After Reading?
Yeah.
Burn After Reading for some reason didn't hit with me the way that Big Lebowski does.
Okay.
How do you feel about Burn
I
After
actually
Reading?
enjoy Burn After Reading, and I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
It's because in Burn After Reading, Brad Pitt's character is so stupid that it makes it work. Because he's this gym rat, and we've all been to gyms. We know that trainer that's just like, I'm an actor, and I'm also a singer, but I have like a fitness model too, and I'm just like, that is every trainer in Los Angeles, right? So the Brad Pitt character, who throughout pretty much the entire thing is a bit of the glue. Like everybody looks at Clooney, and his whole situation is more of the glue. It's that glue of idiocy that comes from Brad Pitt, and that's why I really like that movie, because that character is very believable. Whereas in a guy like the dude doesn't say a word like Orel Duderino for if you're not into brevity or whatever.
Right.
Like, that guy does not deliver that line. That line is written. That line is not said by a normal human being.
Right.
And that's where I start having the problems. I also start having the problem with if the real Lebowski, the one in the wheelchair, I forget the actor that plays him,
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman is his
David Huddleston.
David Huddleston. And Philip Seymour Hoffman as his assistant in my opinion, might be the best acted character in the movie. I actually enjoy Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman is really, really great in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much great in everything that he does. And, R.I.P. But so the fact that the criminals mix up a guy that lives in a one-bedroom or studio apartment in a crappy part of Los Angeles versus a guy that's a millionaire, you would think going in that they would know where a millionaire lived. Like, the whole thing doesn't even start for me well. I'm like, they robbed the wrong guy who's a bum? Like, this doesn't work. You have to know that you're going to rob a rich person at a rich person's place. That you're not going to rob, like, a two-bedroom apartment off Highland. That's not what you're going to do.
That's a great point.
Right?
Oh, man.
See, am I poking holes now?
You're poking holes, man. The bricks are falling down.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right, so the whole movie then starts...
It starts on a false premise.
Starts on a false premise, right? Then, I always have a lot of problems with people whose friends are frustrating in movies, right? So, him being best friends with John Goodman... Nobody wants to be friends with John Goodman. You wouldn't keep being friends with John Goodman. If you're the dude and you're this pacifist and you're just a guy that likes his rug, your best friend is not going to be John Goodman. John Goodman is an aggro man that has Vietnam PTSD, carries a gun around, and yells at people. That is the opposite of the dude. That doesn't happen. All of my friends are like you. Very well-mannered, nice people. If I had anybody in my life like John Goodman, I just would stop returning the phone calls. Or join another bowling league.
Because you don't need a wild card in your friend group who's that wild.
No. The wild card, that's like open up the pack of cards and it's all just like naked pictures of your mom. You're like, what? How did this get in here? This is Dad. This is gross. What are you doing? That wild card you don't need. So then you put John Goodman in this whole thing and he entrusts John Goodman with this whole thing. If you're the dude, you don't tell anybody about the situation. You just kind of like...
Absolutely not. Because it's going to be... he's going to try and get involved and he's going to make it some kind of scheme and everything is going to go to shit.
Yes.
And that's just it, man. Oh, it is unbelievable.
See?
Oh no.
See, now you're starting to see that it's not. I don't believe it. I don't believe the sincerity of the movie. I don't believe the actual plot line. I think that the Julianne Moore character is so stupidly unbelievable. The part when she is like tucking in, she's like, "This is better for conception." That to me is also kind of like. I guarantee you there's some crazy woman in LA that does this or wherever that has done this on a one night stand.
Oh, for sure.
But this woman who is like this high end artist and she's worth all this money and she surrounds herself with all these like artistic weirdos. That's not what she's doing. She's not going to have sex with the dude. That doesn't work for me. I don't see it.
I mean, maybe she does.
You see that relationship?
I could see her having sex with the dude. Well, because that's the only part of this movie that does feel ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Is that everybody all of a sudden now loves shaggy dudes with dad bod, long hair, and giant beards. That way ahead of its time. Nobody knew back in the 90s that was where we were going to be 20 years later.
Coen brothers were like the Simpsons writers and saw into the future 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they figured it out. Everybody, look, the time I get the most compliments on anything I wear is when I wear a cardigan that looks like something the dude would wear. I literally last night here at the Comedy Store, I saw 3 dudes walking around in bathrobes. This was at 10 o'clock at night.
Was there a Lebowski fest here?
I think it was. I mean, I'm assuming it was a bachelor party of some kind. They all had monogram bathrobes, and I was like,
gotcha.
"You guys are wearing these in public?
What's wrong with you?
What exactly?"
Yeah.
It's just okay. So what else about this movie? And you said you watched it 5 or 6 times to try and get it. Is it one of those things where like every time you watch it, you find more and more to dislike?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What are some of the depths that you've plumbed trying to like this movie?
It seems like every time I make a new friend that I get along with, or like I move in with, or I become good friends with, they all turn out to be these big Lebowski fans. Not literally big Lebowski fans, right? So my best friend from high school, my college roommate, my first roommate here in Los Angeles, Jeff Dye. We became good buddies, and I was like, he talks about Lebowski all the time. I was like, you gotta stop talking about Lebowski. It's just not that good, right? So everywhere I go, and then they would try and sit me down and kind of almost watch. Like when I first started dating my wife, my one movie is if you don't like Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first one. If you don't like that movie, you can't find something, we're going to have like a little bit of an issue. That's my barometer of movies.
Okay.
Because girls and guys, for the most part, have very different opinions on comedies. So you're never going to see you're going to see some Venn diagramming, but not a ton. Like my wife doesn't like MacGruber. Not a ton of girls like MacGruber.
No.
It's a dude comedy.
Yeah, it's made for men.
It's made for men. Same with like a Dumb and Dumber. It's made for men. So I played her Raiders of the Lost Ark. She's like, I can't believe I've never seen this movie. It's amazing. Let's watch it again. I was like, boom. Now this is perfect. We can start doing whatever. So they would sit me down and honestly watch me like, is he going to like it this time? I bet he's going to like it. I bet this time is the time he's going to like it. The whole dream sequence when he's going down a bowling alley and like the pins are going everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't like that dream sequence. I've never really enjoyed trippy scenes in movies when you're just on like mushrooms, right? Or you're just on a drug that's supposed to make you. Nobody gets that messed up. When people are like, oh, I had a bad trip, I was seeing stuff, I was like, you weren't. Right. I've been on a lot of drugs. Take away anything with a needle. And in college, you did acid, you did mushrooms, you did all that kind of stuff, the trippy stuff.
Oh yeah, I've been down all those roads.
You know the roads,
and I haven't had an experience like that before.
Correct. I mean, like mushrooms, everybody's like, "Oh, is it going to be real bad?" I was like, "You're just going to giggle a lot.
Yeah,
like everything's going to be amazing, and it feels like your whole day, literally, like you went on a trip because you feel like you went on a journey. It's a journey. You went to Mordor and came back. It's
everything
awesome.
Because everything's just different.
It is.
It feels like you're in the colors are a little brighter, the sounds sound different coming into your ears.
Yes.
Everything you're making connections between stuff that you hadn't made connections between before. Yep. I have never met anybody who has gone down the road of literally like having a dream sequence drug trip.
Right. No.
It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
The closest, I had a friend of mine one time who accidentally smoked DMT outside of a concert. And even that, because that's the trippiest drug that there is.
Yes.
Because you literally are having just like your vision's blocked out.
Everything.
You can't see anything. Yeah. That's the closest you get. And that even... It doesn't last longer than 15 minutes, and it doesn't go like that. It doesn't go where you're physically like running around and doing stuff.
Nope.
You're paralyzed.
Yes.
You cannot do anything but just sit there and let all of this experience you wash over you.
100%.
I've had friends of mine who've done like the ayahuasca, vision quests, and you're literally just lying down.
You ever seen Vision Quest?
No, I've never even heard. That's a movie?
Dude, Matthew Modine is a high school wrestler. Journey does the soundtrack. Incredible 80s movie.
What?
It's called Vision Quest.
What?
And Matthew Modine is this high school wrestler. It's incredible. I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest sports movies that nobody really sees. And it's going to pop up on your radar one time when you're flipping through the channels, either early in the morning or late at night, and it's going to be on like a TNT or a TBS, and you're just going to see Vision Quest. And you remember, Josh Macuga told me to watch Vision Quest. Watch it.
My phone is listening to me right now. I guarantee it's going to pop up on my Netflix queue as soon as I get home and check it again. Okay, so, but yeah, it's just not that.
It's not that.
It's not that. And that's,
is.
That goes back to the people want to see a movie and be like, man, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I would love to be able to go on because most people.
That's what they think is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that doesn't.
And that's you know what? And this is a really sad thing is that most people have not done acid or shrooms.
No, because they're so scared.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think those kind of drugs can really, especially mushrooms. I think for me, it's a really fun time.
Yeah,
it is a really fun time.
There's
not to promote drugs, but
Well, look, let's promote magic mushrooms. Hey, look, the FDA just approved psilocybin as a treatment for at least for trials as a treatment for depression.
Genius.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because it changes the way you think about things. Acid is used as a treatment in some places for addiction and alcoholism because it makes sense.
So is ayahuasca.
Yeah.
People, a lot of people that are addicted to opiates go down to Peru and try this root that is like a version of ayahuasca that my mother-in-law has like told me about. Her friend goes and does it once a year. And these people that, because she has a lot of friends that at one point were addicted to opiates of some sort. She worked in a clinic, and they've all gone down to Peru if they can get the money, and they go down and they do it, and it's like a day and a half worth of kind of like this existential whatever ayahuasca does to you kind of a situation.
Right.
And they've all come back and haven't touched it in like 8, 9, 10 years. Wow. It's kind of crazy, right? And the FDA will never approve that as something unless they can control it somehow, which I don't know if you can.
No, you probably can't.
But Lebowski also too. Did you see the movie All the Money in the World? The one that was
the one
Spacey?
that Kevin Spacey was in, and then they cut him out and put Christopher Plummer in.
Same story as that show Trust on FX. It's the same exact story. It's about John Paul Getty Jr., the kidnapping, how they wouldn't pay the ransom, the whole mismanagement of the ransom, yada yada yada. That is legitimately the rip-off plot of Lebowski, just not as well done.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See, I know, and I was reading this on the Wikipedia page before my computer died on me. There's the basis for this movie is based on Raymond Chandler, who is hold on, sorry. Now I have to be on my phone and look it up.
Did your laptop die?
Yeah, my laptop, dude.
Sons.
My battery has been in.
I get maybe an hour and a half out of my laptop now.
My battery has been in critical battery mode for such a long time, and I have not had the time to go fix it because I keep picking up. I can't wait to edit all this stuff out of the podcast later because I had. I'm working on a show right now, so I have to have my laptop at work, and I haven't had time to go send it into the Apple Store because I know it'll take like a week to get it repaired, and I just can't do that. So it's like, yep, I can get. I've gotten an hour out of this laptop, and that is all we're gonna do. Okay, Raymond Chandler. Oh man!
So it's like a real guy.
So it's based on a real guy. It's based on it's a detective novelist.
Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
He was in the 30s. He made detective movies. He made novels, and he was he's a big sort of in the pantheon like Dashiell Hammett and Philip Marlowe is the main character. He's like Sam Spade for a different generation essentially, and. There's it's sort of, but it's loosely based on that, right? It's not essentially, it's not a direct rip, but it's enough that it's like, man, it's a wink and a nod.
Yeah.
And I can understand why you want to pull that off, and you want to do stuff that's sort of like very loosely based, and you want to have this sort of like it's
just
sort
like
of
10 Things I Hate About You
assembly.
is like Taming of the Shrew or whatever,
right? Or and Clueless is like whatever that Jane Austen novel is.
Yeah,
I think it's Jane Austen, right?
Yes. Shoot, what's it?
Is it? It's not. I immediately want to say Wuthering Heights, and I know that's not even her.
That's Emily Bronte.
Yep. All those old.
You know what I'm talking.
British.
I know
all
what
those
you're
old
yes.
British broads writing sad movies, sad books.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Sylvia Plath. Yes. Gotcha.
But anyway, so it's like. I can see man. I wish you hadn't poked so many holes in this movie for me now, because now the water's starting to like rush out of the dam.
You're putting the gum everywhere. The one thing too is that Tara Reid. This is at the height of Tara Reid's popularity, right? Like right after American Pie, American Pie 2. She's thought of as kind of a legit actress. She's in this movie. I always have a problem with somebody that seems as put together as the actual Lebowski, as the Big Lebowski, whatever. That he would get married to this young, idiotic, beautiful blonde. I can see the Nicole, what was her name?
Anna Nicole Smith?
Anna Nicole Smith, right? She just kind of pulled one over on this old man, yada, yada, yada. I don't see it from this guy. I think that this guy would go with a woman that is a beautiful woman that has her things together, sort of like a George Clooney move with a mall, right? Like, he's not going after some young model. He did that for a long time.
Right.
I don't think Lebowski in the wheelchair is doing that. I think that he could find somebody different. I don't think she had no charm. There's nothing likable about her. She was that isn't.
That's true. She's an unlikable.
She really is
human being in this movie.
And you're telling me a guy that is a charitable guy, a philanthropist, a rich man, all this stuff. He's going to bring her into his life? No,
right.
Come on, that doesn't happen. It's not going to happen.
She's so unlikable unlikable to the point that when you find out that the whole movie is going to be about trying to find her and trying to find her kidnappers and bring them to whatever justice the dude can achieve.
Right.
And then you find out that like her finger is not cut off and she's driving down the highway totally fine. I'm like, are you goddamn kidding me?
You saw that coming from a mile away. One, if you are this rich, I know you're not supposed to go to the police. You get a private investigator to fingerprint it. And you know she's got fingerprints somewhere. Yeah. You're telling me that guy doesn't sign a prenup? He signs a prenup with her or whatever, okay? The fact that his loyal servant, Philip Seymour Hoffman, is just going along with how she talks to people, right? It does not happen. I'm telling you that the whole thing is so far-fetched, and it's with all the characters all together and how weak that plot is for me and how weak the story is. That's why I was always like, I don't understand why people freak out for this movie. I get that Jeff Bridges is a very funny, like, I'm LaDrew, he does his thing.
You love Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges is an American treasure. I went to see The Star is Born.
Yeah.
On Friday, which I thought was a very powerful, well done movie.
I've heard wonderful things.
But Crazy Heart is a better movie. The Jeff Daniels.
I loved Crazy Heart.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges as an alcoholic country singer he's fantastic in that role. The scene where he loses the kid.
Oh my God.
You
can feel it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, it's harrowing.
Bradley Cooper is doing his best to imitate Jeff Bridges in Crazy Heart the entire movie, in my opinion. Right, I think Crazy Heart has way more heart than A Star Is Born.
It has a crazy amount of heart.
Of course. Maggie Jill. I mean that movie. I think the music in that movie might even be better than A Star Is Born. I really like Star Is Born, but Crazy Heart for me was such a well done movie and so kind of surprising for me. I'm not like a country music fan or anything like that, but Jeff Bridges in that movie, the fact that he got nominated, but he didn't win.
Right,
it's kind of a shame. Because I think that's his best performance. When he's playing a guy like the dude, I'm not on board because my Jeff Bridges is not the dude. That sounds like my mom. Like, that's not my Martha Stewart. My mom was so convinced that Martha Stewart didn't do insider trading that she bought a shirt that said Free Martha.
Really?
Like, she was 100% all about freeing Martha Stewart.
I take it your mom doesn't like Martha Stewart on the Comedy Central roasts either.
She's not a big fan.
Yeah.
No. Her Martha is, lighting a Christmas tree that is something out of like a superhero movie that's like, this tree was born out of a volcanic ash and it grew here and we put the bulbs on it perfectly. Mom's like, isn't this wonderful? I was like, Mom, this isn't real. Whatever. I'll give you Martha Stewart. No big deal. But that's why in this movie I have such a problem with how Jeff Bridges is because that's not my Jeff Bridges. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I get that. And you mentioned that you think that the only redeeming character in here is Steve Buscemi. Mm-hmm. How did you feel when Steve Buscemi meets his end in this movie?
I was heartbroken. I just really enjoy Donnie. He's just like he's the putz. He's the fall guy. He's all that kind of stuff. And you feel bad for guys like that. And I hate when movies like take that guy and stick it to him instead of a guy like a guy like the dude. Even though the dude doesn't deserve it. And the dude is such a putz as well. I mean he really is. Donnie is such a sweetheart of a guy. You don't want Donnie to die.
No, you don't want Donnie to die. And then, of course, they can't even scatter his ashes, right?
No. You don't do Donnie like that.
Don't do Donnie like that.
And, then John Turturro comes out and he wants to make a Jesus movie, or he made a Jesus movie.
He did, yeah.
He made the Jesus movie. I mean, I couldn't root for something less. And I love John Turturro. If you saw that miniseries, The Night Of, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's great in The Night Of.
And I couldn't like a character less than Jesus. I mean, it's not even a supporting role, and he's not even the villain in the movie. He's just a dork.
Yeah,
he's just like a dude that dresses
just a dork in a purple tracksuit.
Correct. Yeah. And listen, I've been in bowling leagues since I was 17 years old. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, and we have a lot of bowling alleys because there's not a lot to do in the wintertime, but watch Steeler football and bowl. Like, that's really all we've got.
Okay.
And so my parents, just to get me out of the house, I started joining bowling leagues with my buddies, and I was bowling leagues in college, and then all the way in New York and out here. And I love the bowling league mentality. I love getting to know people in the bowling league. I think the greatest bowling league scenes are in Uncle Buck when he goes to the bowling alley to see Pal and like his buddy Raj. Like, I love the fact that Uncle Buck is a bowler because he looks like a bowler. The people that are in the bowling league in the Big Lebowski those aren't people that are in bowling leagues. They're not. That also rubbed me the wrong way. Because I was like, the dude, sure, but nobody bowls in their bathrobe.
No,
Nobody.
of course not.
It gets in the way of your swing.
Yeah. It's going to flop around too much.
100%. If there's anybody that is
Get too much wind resistance.
Guy, yeah, you're right. The whole thing is anti-bowling. If the dude was serious about bowling and he loved bowling that much, he wouldn't bowl with the robe. He wouldn't even walk in the alley with the robe on.
Fucking poser. Real bowling heads in this room.
To people that have dedicated their lives to a 185 average, I swear to God. No, I only have two real sports hobbies, and it's golf and bowling, two sports that you can do while drinking a beer. And but Donnie is the only guy that you can see in a bowling league in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Walter, no, he's too angry to be a bowler. You can't be that angry and bowl.
Yeah, can't do it.
No, you just can't. Just can't be that angry and bowl.
It's the thing that now, having unlocked this deep well of confusion within me that you've done today, Josh, is that I really enjoy the Coen brothers as in general. I really enjoy what they've done. I finally got a chance to see Raising Arizona a while back.
Great movie.
Love Raising Arizona. Mm-hmm. I think Fargo was really well made, and I still theoretically like The Big Lebowski. I got to watch it again now.
Sure.
Now that you've done this to me. Oh, how dare you?
I'm sorry.
But again, Burn After Reading, it's fun. It's a snack of a movie in my mind. It's not a meal.
Yeah.
This is to take a metaphor that I used just an episode ago. Thank you, Jeff May. Yeah. And I really liked, of course, No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
All-time classic. True Grit, too. Same deal.
True Grit, great.
What's
the Daniel Day-Lewis one? The oil one.
Oh, There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood.
But that's not Coen Brothers.
That's not a Coen Brothers movie?
No, that is my favorite movie of all time. That's PTA.
My bad.
Good old P.T. Anderson.
I always mix those up. Never mind.
But because it came out in the same year as No Country for Old Men.
That's why it is.
That's why it is, because they're both westerns of a sort of western flair. But anyway, I could do a whole other podcast about how much I love There Will Be Blood. Oof. But the Coens make these movies that prominently feature likable idiots. Yeah. And that's their bread and butter.
It really is.
And
do you think that William H. Macy is likable in Fargo? Because I don't.
No, he's not. That's the thing. Fargo, the deviations from the norm are Fargo and No Country for Old Men. Okay. Those are the two stark deviations from the norm of from what the Coens do. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think those movies received such acclaim from the jump the way that they did. Because if you look at a lot of the way that people react to the Coen brothers, their work is not necessarily appreciated as it comes out. Yes. Like Big Lebowski famously was got a lot of mixed reviews and was critically panned, and then has now sort of risen to this cult status. And I think that
doesn't that happen? That happens with a ton of movies. Like, did you watch Venom? Did you go see Venom?
No, and I hear that that's probably going to happen to Venom. It's gotten critically panned, but everybody's like, it's not a bad movie. It's got a good audience score. Yeah. There's something to be said about the way that critics approach movies and that audiences approach movies. And I think the Coen brothers face this a lot. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen Inside Llewyn Davis or Hail Caesar, but
Caesar's actually pretty well done too.
That's the thing. Hail Caesar, critics hated it. Yeah. But it's getting, audiences are like, that was enjoyable. I like that. It's a fun little caper.
And Inside Llewyn Davis, I talked to my one buddy. He was like, I just don't know why they made that movie. There isn't a story there. I was like, but I think that's the point of Inside Llewyn Davis was that being a folk singer back then, you didn't have a story. Mm-hmm. You were just struggling in 60s New York, right? And I think it'll never be a cult classic and it'll never be anything like that. But I can imagine. What I kind of look like at Big Lebowski is when Caddyshack came out in theaters, it was destroyed. Yeah. Nobody liked it. And then it started catching this whole cult classic. That's the same thing with the Big Lebowski. I love Caddyshack. If I was a critic back then and I was watching Caddyshack, or Caddyshack came out now, I think there were a few movies that people are like, oh, today those movies would never get made. I still think today that if you pitch Caddyshack in a room, it would get made, and you pitched Animal House in a room, it would get made. Yeah. If you had those scripts with the talent now, I don't know who you would cast in certain things in remakes of Animal House or Caddyshack, and I would never want those movies to be remade. Those are kind of like those don't touch my movies kind of a situation.
Right.
And I'm not one of those guys that's like, reboots, guys, everything is getting rebooted. Because sometimes, like True Grit, a reboot can be a reboot? Yeah.
That's my favorite Legend of Zelda currency.
It's fantastic. Good Zelda pull. A reboot. I think reboots can be great. I think reboots they're super fun. And then there's some that I'm just like, you didn't really need to remake that movie. You didn't need to reboot it. You didn't need to do that. I don't think that you would ever like a Big Lebowski with the cult classic kind of a situation is the whole polarity of it for me was always the same thing. It was like, if you don't love the Big Lebowski, you're a moron. I'm like, I just did not work for me.
Yeah.
The movie just did not work for me. And as time has gone on, because so many people in my life have loved it, I've just started to hate it more and more and more. And each time I watch it, I'm like, see, that's stupid. That is really dumb. I don't like that. This is just a waste of time. It's like I don't like musicals at all. I hate musicals.
Yep.
Can't stand them.
Look, that's the downside about running up against a fan base that is rabid and will defend their movie or whatever. Their movie or their sports team, their flavor of choice, their band.
Yes.
To the death.
I mean, Adam Egan has a Smiths tattoo, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Smiths. Okay.
I know the Smiths is one of those, everybody loves the Smiths. I've never considered really listening to them. I've never listened to the Smiths.
Sure.
The most I've heard of the Smiths is the snippets in 500 Days of Summer.
Correct.
When the Smiths are played.
Yes.
That's it. That's my extent of my knowledge
I think
of
I
Morrissey.
said that to Adam Egan the first time that I heard it. I was like, oh, from 500 Days of Summer? And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, okay, my bad. I'm hitting a real fan. I'm hitting a chord here. My bad.
Oof.
Yeah. Oof.
But that's just the thing, you know? You've chosen a movie, and it's good that you actually do have a thorough defense of why you don't like it, because you know you're never going to change anyone's mind really if they're going to be that deep of a fan.
Yeah.
But you might change you at least can stick up for yourself.
Yes.
And that is pretty much all you can do when you're going to run up against a bunch of dudes who are drinking White Russians and have it stuck in their beards and are very angry that you don't like their weird movie about people hanging out in a bowling alley.
So well said. So well said. Because I like I said at the top of the show, I have terrible taste in movies sometimes, and I know that. Summer Catch with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jessica Biel, great coming of age movie. And people are like, you're an idiot. That movie's terrible. Is it though? If you go back and watch Summer Catch, it's not terrible. They're going to come like, you like Summer Catch, but you don't like Big Lebowski? I'm like, I could believe Summer Catch.
I love all these movies that I've never heard of.
You never heard of Summer Catch?
No, I've never heard of Summer Catch. I've never heard of, what was the first one you said? Vision Quest.
Vision Quest. I'm gonna send you emails with just like, hey dude, here's Vision Quest. Go check it out.
You know what? I'll put them on my list of movies that I need to go see.
Yeah.
Ah, God. Josh, hey, listen, man, thanks for coming on.
Dude, thank you. It's a blast.
This is fascinating, and the dam is there's cracks in the dam now. There's water starting to gush out, and I'm going to have to take some duct tape and put them over these holes.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Where can the listeners find you?
I'm at Josh Macuga on Twitter and Instagram, The Josh Macuga Show on YouTube. I'm on Collider Video all the time, Schmoes Know. I'm campaigning to be the next host of Jeopardy. You guys can use the hashtag Josh Macuga, the number 4 Jeopardy. It's been my dream job since I was 10 years old. So when Alex Trebek said he may retire in 2020, I started the campaign. And I've been talking about it on air or on different shows since I got into the entertainment industry. So
hey, I hope you get it, man.
Thanks, man. I brought you a button.
Hey, I love buttons.
Yeah.
I'll take that button, and I'm going to put that hashtag on when I put this episode out.
Love it. Thanks, buddy.
You can find me on the internet at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. And if you like the show, please leave a rating. Subscribe on iTunes, leave a review even. It helps me, it helps you, and it helps get the show a little bit more out there, and we can have more fun takes like this. Man, I just had to, I feel like I just vomited a little bit in my mouth saying how much, oh God. Anyway, you get it.
You feel like Philip Seymour Hoffman, right? You feel a little bit like Philip Seymour Hoffman when she says, you want me to suck your dick? And he's like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
That's
man,
how you feel.
I'm giving away a rug that I know I'm not allowed to give away with this movie. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.